for the past year, I've been trying to avoid, repeating some of my works, and so I went back to my first little pamphlet here. So these are some of the ones that I did at the very first to unveil my poetry prowess. So I figured it's kind of a greatest hits. This one's called "And So It Flows." I wrote a little boat into existence. It floated down the stream at my insistence. As it lurched and leaped and bobbed atop the water, I could sense the hints of joy within my daughter, who ran along the banks to keep a pace, the wind whipping wisps of hair across her face. Stumbling upon a root she fell upon, those tanned and knobby knees, the boat sailed on. I laughed, but deep within I was alone to know in a few short years that she'd be grown. My daughter, you see, I wrote into existence, but she refuses to remain the child of my insistence. And so it goes. Stewardship. Treat your chickens kindly. Let them walk on God's green earth. Give them natural sun and water and a shelter for their birth. Don't lock them up in cages, sized 1 by 1 by 1, suspended over fecal sluices. That isn't any fun. Don't feed them antibiotics within each and every bite, so don't breed them so they cannot walk. You know that isn't right. Don't grow them by the zillion and bombard them with fake light. Don't cut and grind away their beaks because you got them wedged too tight. Don't lock them away all by themselves in a solitary hold, in spaces so god-awful tight their wings cannot unfold. Let them harvest bugs and grasses and scratch pebbles from the ground. I implore you, treat them kindly. They'll be the best chickens around. Okay. Here's a short little piece that I ran into an artist on deviantart.com that I really enjoyed. And he printed a nice little, and as a matter of fact, you can see in this picture, a nice little village scene. And it's called Reverend John Rankin's because back during the Civil War, the Ohio River was the dividing point between free states and slave states. And so a lot of people on the Underground Railroad would seek to get over the Ohio River. And the real home place that they would find on the other side of that river was Reverend John Rankin's house. And that was basically their whole target to try to obtain. And so, it's been weeks and weeks to, through territories where they were subject to being picked up. So anyway, I tried to write something real short and sweet that just kind of punctuated that scene. And then this is called Reverend John Rankin's. And after miles and miles of walking in ill-fit shoes, night after night, night after night, at last there lay before us a home of our own choosing. Reverend John Rankin's. And this is the last one I'll do. It's more vibrant and explosive, I guess.
Oh my, I'm coming up closer.
It's called Trees and Grasses. You can't see the truth without your glasses. It's an all-out war between trees and grasses. Sweet sunny days and the grasses have the pasture all to themselves. Their nemesis shows up in the form of a twiggy little sprout that grows so slowly. Grasses shoot ahead of spriggy sprout year after year for a year or two. Then it's paybacks. Like a ragweed on steroids, young spriggy sprout shoots up about people high in year 5. Starts getting a swelled head too. Leafy. And that means shade. Now shade's a good thing if you're a tree root. It keeps the space around you all moist and cool. But if your name is fescue or Mr. Zoysia grass, well, you just got kicked in the grass noogies. You got to have the right kind of spectacles, but it's plain to see it's an all-out war. Rabbits are in with the ragweed grasses. Sure, rabbits will eat a sweet grass, but not to the point of extermination. But they'll cut a seedling down quick and leave it cold-ass dead. Squirrels are in league with the trees. They plant all kinds of nuts and acorns. Then they conveniently forget where they buried them. A likely story. Squirrels, working for the red oaks and the hickories and the pecans. Major League Baseball, they teamed up with the trees for quite some time, covering over acres of pasture grass, turning it into parking lots, then putting up a bunch of ornamentals to make it look all leisurely and green. But that's not all. Baseball turf humpers betrayed their true loves and dug up innocent blades of cool green grass and put down cement and hot plasticine on top of those playing fields. It seemed like the trees had won at the old ballpark till those $1 million knees started grinding away and those triply insured ankles started popping and real grass became cool again. Knees and ankles, they're working for the grasses. Trees are for the birds, and the birds pay them back right smartly. Birds eat plenty of tree seeds, mulberry, elm, and pine. Then they fly away and poop them right back on the ground. Those seeds don't even want for fertilizer. Now that's a conspiracy for you. Insects, they be working for the trees. They buzz in and out of those flashy spring blossoms. It's got to tickle Mr. Persimmon just a little bit. He gets up just a little bit of that pollen, and the next thing you know, he's a tree daddy. But sometimes the bugs get bit off a bit, and they start burrowing underneath the bark. Bring a proud tree down, they will, where it'll rot and feed the grasses. Insects, you got to watch them. They can be turncoats. The wind, you know the wind's working for the grasses. It'll pop a branch right off a big silver maple, but it'll caress the grasses, make them whisper and dance. It spreads tiny, tiny grass pollen to 15th cousins twice removed. Nothing like a good wind to get the grass libido a-going. When you hear the wind, listen close, and you'll hear the grasses having a good time making babies. Now, you can't see this truth without your glasses, but it's an all-out war between trees and grasses. Thank you.